carry on and plan the sequel, because let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. It's a special bonus review, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we are discussing Gabriel Bier Gislason's Attachment, a new queer horror film that's streaming on Shudder right now, everyone.
So, folks, we are going to be spoiling this, so if you have not seen the film, be sure to go and check it out. And Trace, I'm going to say it off the top. I like this one, and I recommend it.
I do too. Yeah, I think this is, we've had some questions actually about these kind of bonus episodes because people are like, oh shit, like, is this a full-length main feed episode? Like, blah, blah, blah. I think what we're kind of doing now is, like, as queer horror films come out, like, we're just going to start dropping fun minisodes on them, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't preclude us from covering them as full-length episodes down the line, but it's mostly that we're trying to draw people's attention to them, even just to reinforce, hey, there's a bunch of queer horror coming out. And I'm not going to lie, Trace, like, we're not even hitting all of them because we can't even keep up.
No, I mean, we'd have to create a whole other podcast just for, because that's the funny thing, right? When we started this, like, we weren't getting a deluge of queer horror films to, like, build a podcast around. And now it seems like, honestly, if you wanted to, you really could just with new releases.
Yes. Yeah.
But yes, no, I too would recommend this. I quite liked this. I think this is a film where the performances elevate the mostly solid script that I have a few issues with. But yeah, overall, this is like a 3.5 for me, I think.
Yeah, this was tottering somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4. It doesn't lose me in the last act. It's more just kind of, yeah, okay. It goes more or less where I expected. I will say, though, the very climax, if we want to maybe be generous with how bombastic it actually is, I was kind of pleasantly surprised that it's low-key and sort of more emotional character-driven as opposed to, oh, we're going really big possession exorcism scene.
Well, even the way it's resolved, I really liked that because it's not what you would normally expect from a possession film. And I've been on record saying that I'm really over possession movies. Like, I have seen so many of them, and it's so hard to deviate. I'm sorry, maybe it's not hard to deviate, but people are not deviating from the norms when it comes to possession films.
Deviate harder, people. I want to see more deviation.
Yeah, I was intrigued already because, okay, cool, we have Jewish horror with this, and of course we're going back down the realm of Divix, which I think we dealt with in The Vigil.
I believe so, yeah. Although I will give the film props for literally having a scene where it's like, it could be a golem, it could be a Dybbuk, it could be black magic. And I was like, oh, you got me, because I'm expecting one of these, but now I don't know which one it is.
Man, how were you not hoping it would be that the woman that they were like, oh, some people say she's good, some people say she's evil? We don't really know.
I mean, you're supposed to expect that, oh shit, that could be the mother. So, folks, we've not talked about what this movie is.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Basically, it is a queer love story between Leah, who is Ellie Kendrick, who folks may recognize from Game of Thrones or an Education. She is a British Jew who is doing a little bit of studying over in Denmark. And she meets Maya, who is Josephine Park, who is in a movie called Baby Fever that I maybe should have seen. I don't know,
but she's great.
She's fantastic. All of these, you said it off the top, I'm in full agreement. These performances are really carrying the film because it's a quiet film. It's a very sexy film, despite the fact that it's not incredibly sexual. Like, these two actresses have great chemistry.
Well, here's the thing. This is another film that kind of defies genre, because it really starts out as a romance drama. There's a hefty amount of humor in this movie that I really like, that just comes from genuine human awkwardness and interactions. And then we go more into horror territory as the film goes on, as we're starting to see with a lot more films nowadays. But yeah, it's so funny. So, I had to watch this last minute today, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to watch this slow, like, Jewish horror lesbian possession movie.
Oh my God, your preconceived notions.
I know, but Joe, like, literally 10 minutes in, I was like, I'm on board because of the chemistry between these two actors. And again, how kind of lighthearted it was, even though I knew we were going into darker territory, I was just immediately captivated by these two actresses.
Oh, yeah. They have a meet cute in a bookstore where Maya, she got famous as an actress playing an elf on a really terrible sounding Danish sitcom kind of thing for kids. And she now lives solely by doing kind of public appearances in character. She lives in her dead mother's house, and, you know, she seems fun and flirty and okay. And then she meets Leah and they hit it off immediately. Like, it's so meet cute rom-com. I was totally on board. And then all of a sudden, Leah gets a little sick and she's got to go home. And for the horror fan, you immediately recognize the signs. You're like, oh, mom calls, and Leah is suddenly afflicted by like shakes and tics and tremors, and then she has a full-on seizure, breaks her own leg from the sights of it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, and you're like, oh, this bitch got a curse on her.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's...
Shall we go full spoiler?
Yeah, let's go full spoiler now. So my issue, because again, the actors elevate this script for me, and I feel like I'm making this complaint a lot. And maybe it's from Sundance and from just watching a lot of festival films, but it's a thing where I'm like, I'm seeing a lot of films that, again, kind of defy genre, where they're starting as something else and then kind of become a horror film as we reel into the third act. My problem is that so many of the third act horror stuff are so incredibly tropey. All these possession things that I've seen before. And with this movie specifically, I think it's telegraphed fairly early on that the mother is protecting Leah. She is not actually hurting her. And so we have a case where it's like, if one character would just tell everyone the truth, it's not even that the whole thing could be avoided, but we could maybe be handling the situation differently.
Yes. Okay. I hear everything that you're saying. I'm in agreement with you mostly. I feel like the film actually does a reasonably good job of saying, oh, we know that you know that it's the mom, but is she protecting her or is she not? And it kind of waffles you back and forth, because then you start to think, oh, maybe it's the uncle. The uncle acts a little bit shady. Oh, but now the uncle seems to be helping. Like, I think the film gets a lot of mileage out of, you think you know which way it's going to go, but then you have questions and you're uncertain about this character now, although you're still pretty sure you know where it's going to go.
I think because, and that's where the queerness comes into play, right? Because you're like, okay, we're dealing with a heavily religious woman. Or, I'm sorry, two people with the mom and the uncle. So you're like, okay, yeah, maybe it's something they're doing against them because they're queer. Even though both of them, I think, say at least once, like, there's no issue here with that. Like, we don't care.
Yeah, I think the uncle even says, you know, maybe it should be like, maybe I should be more concerned, but also I don't care.
But I think, though, just because the general tone of the early parts of this movie were more happy and optimistic, I didn't think we were actually going to go into like, oh, the mom is trying to like hurt her daughter territory. And whether that's me and just the wealth of films I have seen, I don't know, or if it's the movie not doing its job, I don't know. I mean, you tell me.
Well, that's interesting, because I was the same way, but then there's a moment where Maya says, you know, as soon as she gets better, as soon as Leah gets better, we're going to travel or maybe go somewhere different. And you just see the mom's eyes kind of go like giant ass saucers. I can't allow this to happen. And at this point, yeah, you could take it either way. It's, oh, she's protecting her and she can't let her get away because then she won't be protected anymore. Or it could be, mom is so possessive that, you know, like there is a scene earlier where Maya literally witnesses her possibly re-break her daughter's leg.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is clearly a
you
personal
were not
thing.
Fooled by any of this.
No,
is what you're saying.
because I was just like, oh, she doesn't want her to go because the possession reoccurred when she was away from home. So I was just putting 2 and 2, or maybe 3 and 3 together.
Right. Yeah.
But nevertheless, though, that doesn't affect like my recommendation on this film. I mean, yes, am I a little annoyed because I'm like, oh, like it didn't turn me off, just like you. It just kind of made me less engaged with the film because I was kind of like, okay, I see the wheels turning here.
That's interesting. I think it went down a little bit easier for me. My slight complaint, particularly in the middle section where it is a lot of, ooh, can we trust the mom? She's acting shady. Ooh, she wears a wig, all this other stuff. And I'm just like, these are just regular older lady things.
Right.
She likes to make her daughter soup. But my big thing was you actually lose a lot of Leah because she spends the middle part of the film unconscious, as secretly behind the scenes the mom and the uncle are trying to get her back under control, make sure that the Dybbuk doesn't get will control or get out.
Yeah, I guess what was working for me in those sections is, so I really like watching people try to like broaden their horizons. So watching Maya try to learn more about Jewish customs and interact with the uncle. I was like, I know this isn't like really the horror stuff we're here for, but I find a lot of this really, really fascinating because I don't know a lot about Jewish culture. You know, born and raised Catholic, we didn't really like learn about Judaism very much, but I like watching other characters do that, especially in the interest of helping a loved one.
Right.
And watching her interactions with the mother, because we shift away from Maya and Leah over to Maya and Hannah here. And it all builds to that fantastic moment when she tells her, "I love your daughter, you idiot."
Oh my God. I thought of you when that moment happens. Yeah, because she just fully comes out with it. Like, because so often a lot of horror films rely on characters, as you said, not saying what they should actually just say. And I do appreciate that in this film, Hannah says at the end of it,
yes,
the reason I couldn't tell her is because I never would have seen my happy daughter again. I didn't want her to have to live with the black cloud of knowing, oh, hey, baby girl, you got a Dybbuk on your back for the rest of your fucking life. Sorry. Yeah. So I did appreciate that, but it also, you know, there's a lot of machinations where you just think, well, somebody would just fucking say something that would be helpful.
Well, it's the thing. We're seeing so many horror films now. It's not even like the meta stuff, but it's like, again, they're subverting our expectations of what we're used to seeing in horror films. And I think that even though I wasn't as high on Barbarian as other people were, I think Barbarian's a really good example of a film doing that. But with this, I was kind of like, yeah. But then again, you have the exorcism itself that did subvert my expectations, because rather than them having to pry this demon out based on these specific rules of this ritual, this black magic ritual, the Dybbuk's like, oh, well, I'm just going to leave now. And then one of you or all of you have to die.
Yeah. I mean, you said earlier that you enjoyed seeing this filtered through a lens or a culture that you weren't overly familiar with. And I think that's one of the things that Attachment is doing exceedingly well. Yeah. I imagine that this movie does play better for a Jewish audience who are accustomed to particular rituals, and they're probably picking up things either faster or in a slightly different context. But I found that the film was actually really good for goys such as you and I to pick up things and to play on like, ooh, okay, so we're seeing little things of salt in the corner. That could be good, that could be bad, based on the rules of like horror or Judaism.
Well, but I wonder too, I mean, how much of that though was going to be known by more casual Jews as opposed to more Orthodox Jews, right? And I'm actually, in something like this, I'm always curious too. Yeah. So Maya is clearly our audience surrogate for for us goys who don't really get the deal, because she has to learn things about the religion.
Sure.
I wonder if any of the Jews out there, any Jewish listeners we have, find any of this to be didactic in a way that they're like, okay, y'all, we get it. Like, let's move along the story.
I see challah bread in the store window, and check mark, let's move on.
Challah bread, Joe.
Yeah, challah.
Oh my God. Even I know that.
No, but honestly, I mean, I think one of the big selling features for non-Jew viewers is this film makes it so easy to break into the culture. And we should acknowledge that, yeah, this is set in an Orthodox Jew neighborhood, and that does have its own sort of like specific, I was going to say peculiarities, that's not right. It has its own unique sort of qualifiers and customs and characters. And I do think that that enriches the narrative so that even if you're not in love with the horror stuff, there's a lot of interesting components to latch onto in the film.
Yes, and again, I'm going to bring back that humor I mentioned earlier. Like even like right before the ritual at the end, you know, you have the uncle that's going like, all right, so we're going to bring in this thing called the Devourer. There's going to be a soul in the middle, and like that soul is going to be the one that the Devourer will devour.
I love that pause.
It's so fun. So I mean, again, like it's a horror film. I found this very moody and atmospheric. I didn't necessarily find it scary, but I did like the brief conversation we get too between the Dybbuk and the mother. Where she's like, it sucks being trapped for 20 years, but I watched you ruin your life for all 20 of those years, because I will tell you, like 90% of those rituals you were doing were useless.
I love that the Dybbuk figure is just a full-on piece of shit trickster, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I also love that this movie clearly does not have a huge budget. Like, it is relying on its actors. It's set principally in just Leah's apartment. And then we go to a little cottage at the end for the finale. But overall, yeah, like, we don't have money for special effects extravaganza, but I did love the really subtle makeup job on Leah when the Dybbuk really takes possession. Like, obviously she's got the kind of like baby bump belly, which is very disconcerting when she just wakes up in the morning one day like, oh, did you eat a soul or something?
Because it sometimes looks like it's higher than her actual belly. Like, it's between
it's too
her
high.
Yeah,
it's unnatural.
And I like that. I mean, it's a simple change, but it's one where I was like, ooh, what is that?
Yeah, and then you see her face has become almost pockmarked and scarred and stuff, and I was just like,
lips.
Oh, it's really good. Like, it's subtle and it's not showy, but it's effective because you immediately realize, oh, that's not Leah anymore.
Yeah, all of this was really working for me. So yeah, I guess I'm leaning more to a 3.5 than I was a 3 earlier. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, low budget, simple, never dull, never boring. I'm really glad that Shudder nabbed this one. But I guess what do we make then of the ending, right? So of course Hannah sacrifices herself to save her daughter, and again, I'm kind of like,
we all saw coming.
Yeah, I see it, but at the same time, I didn't find it too saccharine.
No, it was one of those things where it's expected, but that doesn't undermine how emotionally resonant it was. So when it happened, I felt bad because I thought, oh, in a way, the Dybbuk was right. Like, Hannah really did kind of not ruin her life, but she sacrificed a lot, right? Like,
yeah,
she seems like such a sad figure, and really the only thing that was keeping her going is her daughter. So of course she's going to make this ultimate sacrifice. And then at the end of the day, it's like, oh wow, what a sad figure she is.
But then what do you make then of the coda we have at the end, where Maya still has a bag full of these like Dybbuk warding off materials in her backpack?
I mean, I just think she's ready for anything now. She's like, cool, I got my girl. We're going to go travel a little bit, but also I will never be not ready for this ever again. Like, I got a backpack arsenal ready to go so we can just go and enjoy our lives.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't even think about this, the fact that the movie just kind of reinforced that lesbian stereotype, though, of like lesbians move in together right away.
Oh, 100%. Fully expecting to see like U-Haul lesbians in descriptions of this movie, because Leah basically stays over for one night and then that becomes a couple of nights, and then,
and then they move in
when
together.
she gets ill, basically Maya just moves back to London with her. You're like, okay, yeah, well.
But yeah, no, this is a win for me. I've actually never seen any of Gislason's other films, but I guess they're shorts. I'm sorry, this is his feature debut, actually. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he does in the future, because this, I mean, again, low budget film, very, very solid.
Maybe he'll get snapped up by Blumhouse and he can make a terrible Stephen King adaptation.
That's probably...
Oh, wait, that's just the other Jewish horror director that did Firestarter.
God, don't put that in the universe, Joe, please.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I'm interested to see what he's going to do next. I feel like I want to keep an eye on Josephine Park also. Like, maybe she principally does Danish films, but she seems like one to watch.
She does. Actually, I just saw. So the what was the Baby Fever is actually a TV show that she's in. So I'll have to see that.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I know it.
But yeah, I think that Park is the MVP of this movie, but that is to not give, to take anything away from Sophie Gravel, who plays the Hannah. I like Ellie Kendrick. It's just that Leah doesn't really have as much to do until that final bit.
Yeah, she's the meet cute girlfriend in the beginning, and then she's basically just kind of the victim for the rest of the film. But when she does get stuff to do, she is great. And again, chemistry between these two leads is great, which I do appreciate because, well, folks want to listen to our Patreon episode on Knock on the Cabin coming up. Chemistry is important.
Chemistry is important. But let's put a pin in that, and y'all can go listen to our Patreon episode. Go subscribe today.
There we go.
All right, everyone. Well, until our next queer horror surprise bonus episode, I think we can cross out attachment.
Indeed. And cross out horror queers.
Atlas Avenue. A long stretch of road that encompasses everything the city of Kenneth Heights has to offer. Neon lights, traffic, crime, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and the craziest of characters. My office was above it all. My name is James Locke, and I'm a PI.
Hello, Mr. J. How the hell you doing today?
Good, Edith. Nearly every year I have a new case. New people to meet, new clues to discover, and new problems to solve. But I do it the old-fashioned way. No technology. Nothing post-1950. Hell, I don't even listen to podcasts, but you should. Atlas Avenue Beat is a spoof of the film noir genre with goofy characters, tons of wordplay, and non-stop raunchy humor. There's also 3 whole seasons out right now with more on the way. Just search for Atlas Avenue Beat wherever you listen to podcasts or visit us online at bloody.fm.